The auto industry revolution has just started. And now you're like, what? Yep. All these cars right here and all these manufacturers are starting to see, hey, if the stock price dips too much, CEO, you're out. Stellantis CEO, go take a hike. Finally. And we're seeing that right now that yesterday, Stellantis CEO said, hey, I think it's my time to go after a 45% in valuation. Holy smokes, it took them that long. If I was on the board and it dropped 15, 20%, I would have said, there's the door, get out. You don't know how to manage the company, leave, get out, find something else to do. But they hold on to him for a very long time. And I think he's still on the board. I don't know, but people like that need to go out. They do not know what people want. And so it is time to say bye-bye. And so let's look at some of the stuff and let's look at some of these numbers, why this all just doesn't make sense. And let's look at it. So here we go. Stellantis CEO steps down, and it's after a 45% drop in evaluation. This is absolutely crazy. And here it's from Reuters. Stellantis CEO Carlos Tavares resigned abruptly on Sunday, 2 months after profit margins at the maker of Jeep, Fiat, and Peugeot cars have lost around 40% of its value this year. So let's look at the stock. $12.32. You can buy it today. And I've been telling you guys this all along. All these car dealers, as you're seeing, we're going to go to Dodge, Jeep, and Ram over there. But all these car dealers, the CEOs, and all these people that's sitting in these high top chairs don't know what they're doing. And one of the things is leadership. Leadership is so bad at these places that you just don't know it, that you just don't know what else to do. Because let's look at it. Because as you guys know, I always been saying BYD's coming. BYD's coming. And you want it, you like it or not, they're going to find some way. They're going to make a deal with Trump and BYD's coming. And now we're going to see what these people are getting paid. Because guess what? You've got to get them where it hurts. I don't think that all these car places, it's not the salesperson's fault that it's not running right. It's not the car dealer's fault that they're building cars that nobody wants. No, it's the focus group, it's the executive leadership. So let's look at what the Stellantis CEO made last year. So last year, the CEO of Stellantis made $39 million for a failing company. Picture this. If you suck at your job, you're out. But no, if you're high top, if you're sitting at the top of the podium and you give the speeches to shareholders, you make $40 million. And now let's look at the BYD. BYD CEO made $900,000. Interesting. You sold double the amount of cars and you're making $900,000. Yeah, you probably got some equity and some other stuff, but it's just not looking good. It's just not looking good. So now you're like, well, BYD is always, it's a Chinese-owned company. They subsidize it. So what I found online is that China has invested about $2 billion. And now you're like, well, we need to save our auto industry. We've tried. This is from the Treasury Department. Treasury invested approximately $80 billion in the automotive industry, and we're still failing. So how much good money do you want to throw after bad companies? You can't do it. You can't throw good money after bad people. It just doesn't work out. If you're in leadership and you need to fix a few things, this is how you're going to fix it. Really quick, if you can really hit that like button or subscribe. I know a lot of you guys are watching my content on a regular and are not subscribed. Please click that like button and subscribe. That would really help out my channel. I appreciate it. Thanks. Back to the video. First of all, if you have a company that is global, Europe, you're not going to sell Ram 1500s. It's just not going to happen. They want these little, these Dodge Hornets. And when you look at them, that's what they're selling. That's what they love. That's what my mom would buy. But my mom would not buy a Toyota Highlander. My mom in Europe with no parking would not buy a $1,500 truck or a huge Jeep. That just wouldn't happen. They want smaller cars with some tech in it. That's what they want. They don't drive much. Fuel efficiency is super crazy because they spend so much money on fuel because a gallon is so expensive over there in Europe. And I live there. And so I know that hatchbacks, all these kind of Dodge Hornet stuff, great. Big trucks, SUVs, nope, not happening. Definitely not happening. So how do you fix it? Well, you got to get these focus groups to say, hey, if you're an American engineer and you lived in the United States, you should probably design cars for the United States. And if you lived in Europe, you should probably design cars that are made for Europe because you know your market, right? And then they're like, oh, we want to cut costs and only have one office. Great. Fly them in, get them a visa, and have them done like that. Or you're going to have to close down. It's as simple as that. They're going to have to close down. And now when you're looking at all these new Jeeps that they got on the lot, $70,000, $80,000, $60,000, and you're like, we're catering to sporting people, outdoorsy a little bit. That is not who can afford these things. I'm telling you, if you're gonna get a 4x4 new Jeep and you're gonna spend $60,000 plus, you can buy a used truck with a Polaris. I have it right here, and it still doesn't equate to the new car. And you got versatility, you got an SUV, it drives nice, you can buy a trailer and everything else and just tow them. But here, these ones have been here and they're still all sitting. And if you go back, they're still sitting because who can afford a $100,000 truck in times like this? And so you gotta bring the prices down. You really gotta bring the prices down. Every day that these cars sit costs some money. They got to wash it. They got to pay insurance on it. They got to do all these kind of things because you never know if an idiot's going to come down the road with no insurance and just total them. Happened before, drunk driver just runs into them, right? So you got to pay insurance on them. You got to play. You got to pay to play. But yeah, look at these ones. This one has been here for, I think, 3-4 weeks now. So I came here last time, $100,000 truck. I came here. Nothing has moved. They washed it a few times, probably made scratches on it. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with. Who came up with thinking that these are great ideas? To have these kind of cars sitting and making them and designing them and says, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I want you to be in it. And we're going to sell $100,000 trucks, 2,500s to a bunch of Americans that can't afford it. You got to know your audience. You got to know who you're targeting. And if you're going to target people in Las Vegas, most of the people in Las Vegas do not have money to spend on a $100,000 truck. And the line is just full. That is a few million bucks. Every one is every one of these cars is about 100,000. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 2,500s. That's about 2 million bucks sitting there just looking pretty. It is not good. If you have that much and then you have a line full of new Jeeps and they're just sitting. Whenever something sits, it's costing you. It's costing you whole time. It's costing you money. It's costing you money to wash it. And you have salespeople that are just fiddling with their thumbs and just waiting till somebody comes out and then really try to negotiate a deal. So I'm telling you, if you are the CEO, you gotta know what people want. You gotta be precise and you gotta do the time and you gotta put in the time in the focus groups. And here's another pro tip for you. If you wanna save these dealers, you gotta make stuff reliable. People don't want unreliable stuff. Nowadays, buzzwords of AI, let's throw AI everywhere. AI in the hubcaps, AI in the parking sensor, AI in the taillights, AI everywhere. And let's throw a screen everywhere. Let's throw screens in everywhere. Let's throw screens in the back seat, front seat, side seat, arm pillars, side pillars. Let's have screens everywhere. What does that do? Makes them unreliable. Because why? You need these to control. Buttons out, screens in. The more screens, the higher the price, the more profit we'll make. But not anymore. As you see, they're just sitting. They're just sitting. They're just sitting. It's going to be a cell phone on wheels. At one time, they're just going to say, you're going to be sitting in a phone with wheels on it, where it's all screens and that is it. And it's going to cost you like a mortgage. People can't afford the rent, but you want to try to sell them a $100,000 car at 22% interest? This is great for the bank because if you repo them, they make a few payments, then you repo it and you sell it again. And that's a business model also. You repo. And it's a business model, right? And I'm telling you, all these cars that are just sitting And it's like, oh, we got to sell them. We got to sell them. The end of the year's coming up and we got to improve the numbers. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen unless you discount them so much that somebody's going to lose money on them. Somebody's going to lose money on them. And look at how many Toyotas they got. Look at how many Toyotas they got. Look at all these Toyotas. It's just packed. It's just packed. There's one missing right there, so they can fit another 2 cars. If they're parking nice, 2.5 cars. So they can do all that. And it's just crazy. It's just absolutely bananas. Stellantis is just, and all these other ones, Ford. I'm telling you, BYD is coming. And they're gonna strike a deal with Trump, and they're gonna offer cheaply priced cars with good customer service at a reasonable cost, and you'll take over the market. Because I tell you, I'm gonna tell you something. Americans, when they get something and it's like, hey, I can get you this for this amount of payment, they're gonna be like, oh, nice, right? And so if you can get them a $10, $12, $20,000 car that doesn't have a bunch of issues, you're gonna sell it. You are gonna sell it. And if it's reliable, and as it seems, these BYDs in Europe, they're reliable, and all of a sudden you're gonna have a huge, huge market. And then Americans are gonna say, hey, why do I wanna spend $40,000 on a Camry when I can spend $20,000 on a BYD? They're trying to bring a $10,000 car in. Even if they have to pay tariffs, it's 20 grand. Still cheaper than one of these ones. It's gonna have issues, right? So, yeah, it is absolutely brutal. It is absolutely brutal. And I'm telling you, the leadership is everything. The problem is that these people in the leadership positions, they didn't get there because of how good of knowledgeable they are. No, it's because they did the networking thing. That's what I keep telling you guys about. And you guys don't believe me, but you see incompetence at the top at its finest level. It's because once you're up there, you get to know people. You move from one competitor to the other. You get to see some insights, good information that somebody else might want. And then you're like, hey, let's move over. Your insight into this company might be really, really interesting, right? And so then they either buy you up and give you a seat, a vice president title. They do all these things. So that's why I keep telling you guys, if you're looking for a job, you need a network. You need to go to these events where what these high uppity ups do, and make sure that you're part of it when they go out and have drinks. Don't be the last one to leave. Just show your face and say, yeah, you attended this party. Don't stay too long, but show up and make sure that you shook a few hands, leave, you networked, great, off to the next one. Look at that. Look at that. 29, discounted at $5,000. Discounted this car right here, 5 grand, because it's just insane. It's just crazy. They're trying to get rid of them, and they're just sitting. They're just sitting. And what comes around goes around, right? So what was your financial glory days where you price gouged customers now came back to haunt you. And now they're like, do I want to do business with this car dealer, or do I want to order it online? And then you order it online because why would you? It's easy, convenience. You don't have to wait in the showroom for 3 hours. But yeah, it is absolutely crazy. Absolutely nuts what they're trying to get away with. And when you have 21s, used Tacomas, 2021s, 2022s, you have rows full of used cars also, and nobody's here. You have car salespeople already sitting out front drinking coffee. Not good. It is not good. Even though it's during the week, I tell them, start making videos, start making calls, start getting people, start taking deals over the phones or whatever you do. You shouldn't be sitting outside drinking coffee. That's what I always tell you. You got to use your time wisely. And you as a dealership, as an owner, if you're gonna have issues because you can't pay the bills, look at just what the salespeople are doing. Are they hanging up and not returning phone calls because somebody wanted a price over the phone? Is that so? You gotta, then that be it. You'll be out of business. I'm telling you, you gotta meet these people, especially with cars. There shouldn't be any easier thing to sell than cars, because you come in, you bring your shit box, and then they'll present you the new one, and they say, this is what it's gonna cost, and this is our best deal, and you then move over, right? And try imagine selling life insurance on hypothetical scenarios about death. How hard is that? So if you make it in the life insurance business, you would outdo all of these car salespeople. You would outdo them like you wouldn't believe. I mean, holy smokes! Try to sell life insurance where there's no tangible item. There's no, hey, I get to drive a nice new car or anything like it. No, there's nothing like that. There's just a sign of paper, and you pay every month, and you get nothing out of it unless you die, right? So it's basically an insurance policy. Try to sell that for a little while, and then go back into car sales, and you can see, hey, this is what I got today. This is what we're gonna get you into. Let's do it all over the email, whatever you want to do. And nowadays, DocuSign, everything. You just come in, paperwork's all ready. Takes you 30 minutes, in and out. In and out. Thanks, doing business with you. Give you some free oil changes, come back and see us. And that's how you do it. But a lot of people don't do it like that, because that Hyundai dealer that I was trying to get wouldn't give prices over the phone. Then they called and followed up. Oh, we can make prices over the phone. And then they follow up. Is there anything I can help you with? It's like your customer service and your salespeople are so bad. It wouldn't surprise me if why you guys still have 2023s on the lot, right? And or 2022s, because like at this rate that you guys are moving, you're not going to sell anything. And it is just brutal reality. It is just a brutal reality of today's time. The only thing that gets CEOs removed is stock price drops, and that is because they do not know what consumers want. If you grow too big, you do not know what these people want. And it's sad to say, because I hate these American car brands to die. And it's like, oh, it's made in America. At this point, I'm just like, let's get it over with. Let's stop throwing good money after bad. Let them go belly up and see what's coming, because there's always somebody that's going to take their spot. It might not be an American brand, but there's always somebody that's going to take their spot. Everybody's replaceable, and it might even be an American company. So it's going to be really interesting to see who's going to pick up the slack and what's going to happen next. So please, please, please like and subscribe. And I make content like this all the time, so give me a thumbs up.